The Oscars have released their nominations, and there's controversy because only one person of color, non-white person is the correct term there, not person of person of color. Person of color doesn't exist. It's a bullshit racist term. But I digress. The nominations have come out, and there's only one person of color. Well, there isn't. There's at least two because Antonio Banderas is Latino, so they can't count. But so what? The NBA is 70% black. These same people getting upset about this, they're obviously directly on this NBA thing. They are complaining to the NBA every time the most valuable player is announced in the NBA. 13 years in a row they've been black, incidentally. They're criticizing this. Oh no, wait. As we know, the quote-unquote diversity and fairness road only goes in one direction. If anything shit happens to whites or men, no one gives a fuck. If anything shit happens to blacks or women, let's get that sorted out. If men or whites have something good, well, that should be taken away from them and given to blacks and women, as we can see with race in the Oscars here. But if blacks or women have anything good, they should keep it. The problem with not having any principles, as the people running the left, who are obviously extremist, bigots, racists, Nazis. Now, the left has been overtaken by Nazis, as we know. Instead of Jews, their target is white men. But that's really the only difference. The extermination hasn't begun yet. Who knows when that will happen? But the problem with having no principles is, and it's alarming that I have to explain this, is not only does it make you a hypocrite and a bigot, one day they'll come for you and then you won't be able to complain. If someone comes to you and just says, I want to take some shit from women and give it to men, which is what you're doing the other way around, or I want to take some stuff from blacks and give it to whites. Let's say we have racial quotas in the NBA. The NBA can only be 14% black. What about that? Oh no, of course, racial quotas and gender quotas only work the other way when it's against whites and against men. That's just called racism and sexism. The left is just Nazi-level racist and sexist. The left are just Nazis. That's the problem with not having any principles. They'll come after you and you won't be able to say anything. This is why principles are important. But when did you last hear anyone on the left arguing for principles? I've never heard it. Maybe Bill Maher. He's a bit more out there. He dares to actually say it how it is. Occasionally, you could call Sam Harris a leftist, although he's very much on the other side of the culture war. But it's extreme left. The extremists have taken over, and it's not just that they have extreme views. They make illegal moves in arguments all the time. They make intellectually dishonest moves, such as not having any principles. Oh, the Oscars are and again, no one has asked this question. Oh, the Oscars, only one person is a person of color in the Oscars nominations. All right, which non-white people were deserving of being nominated who weren't? Crickets. Of course, no one asks this simple question that would destroy the narrative. Just to say there's only one person of color, and incidentally, the US is 13 or 14% black. So the numbers aren't that out of whack. Just to say there's a racial or gender, and of course there can't be a gender disparity because they're separate male and female categories, but just to say there's a racial unbalance in something doesn't mean anything's wrong. I don't think anything is wrong with the NBA being 14% black. It's a meritocracy. But if you think that's fine, you don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to criticising the Oscars. There's no evidence that there's any nomination of white people over non-white people because of race. There's no evidence for that. Just saying there's an imbalance isn't an argument. It's massively intellectually dishonest, and especially when blacks do better in other fields, like sports. The double standard here is ridiculous. Why does no one on any news network ask this simple question? Okay, which people should have been nominated that weren't? That at least makes them go another step. And then it's subjective. But then maybe white people are just better actors. Maybe more white people want to go into acting on average. If you look at the statistical distribution in a country with 14% black people, one black person getting nominated in the major categories isn't that unlikely at all. And actually, there's at least 2 people of color, depending on how you define it. Is there a single journalist now in the West who would just ask a simple 1 millimeter below the surface question? Okay, which non-white people should have been nominated who weren't? Just that question. No one. The assumption that it's racist because it's so white in a white majority country. That implied assumption is there the entire time, and everyone's too fucking scared to touch it. People need to start poking at these ridiculous assumptions, because the more this stuff happens and doesn't go challenged, the more difficult and entrenched it will be to get rid of these fucking bigoted, racist, sexist, anti-white, anti-male ideas. These need to be destroyed. They're really bad, stupid ideas. Humanity didn't get here by just letting bad, stupid ideas go. We got here by promoting good ideas, Enlightenment ideas, the scientific method, open debate, fairness, principles, things like that. Things like these useless fucks on all the major news networks, writing for most major news publications, who are too fucking scared to do their fucking jobs. Ask some simple questions. They're obvious. Like Ricky Gervais is one of the few people that dares even touch this subject, and he's barely scratched the surface. This bullshit needs to be destroyed, and everyone needs to fucking destroy it. Where were all the black people fucking saying, yeah, maybe white people were just best this year? Why is no black person that I'm aware of dared to say this? It's fucking obvious, and they'd have decent cover for saying it as well. This is fucking elementary school, 5 years old level, unintellectual, obvious bullshit. Where are the people with a fucking brain? If you come across this, you've got to destroy it.
The Deviant Developer Podcast. Tap subscribe in any podcast app to never miss an episode. Please leave a review on iTunes and like on YouTube. It's essential to spread the word. To contact me or make a welcome donation, go to thedeviantdeveloper.com. Your support is greatly appreciated.